begin tonight with a major problem that could cost Donald Trump and the Republicans the midterm elections. At the Kennedy Center, the traditional New Year's Eve concert has been canceled. As you know, the administration unilaterally renamed the Kennedy Center to include Donald Trump's name, a move that lawmakers say was patently illegal. And some musicians have taken the president's actions to heart, refusing to perform at the storied venue. For some, it is a matter of principle over profit. As one musician put it, quote, "Losing my integrity would cost me more than any paycheck." Self-indulgent vanity projects, though, have preoccupied this president in his second term, and the Kennedy Center is merely the latest example of the president's edifice complex. His obsession with the trappings of autocratic grandeur extends to various White House projects, ranging from the mundane, like gilding the Oval Office and remodeling the Lincoln bathroom in marble, to the absolutely outrageous, like paving over the Rose Garden and demolishing the East Wing to make way for a $400 million ballroom. And the president's DIY tendencies haven't been confined to the White House. Trump has festooned multiple government buildings with enormous banners bearing the image of his own face. And in his free time, Trump golfs or attends lavish parties at his Florida beach club Mar-a-Lago. And that tone-deaf behavior is setting off alarm bells. Take a listen.
His obsession with those kinds of issues actually are a political problem for him. I mean, people are sitting around and thinking about how they're going to pay their bills, and he seems obsessed with gold and putting his name on things and remodeling buildings and rebuilding monuments to himself. And I think this is a huge political problem for him. It's a symbol of his distraction. It's the Marie Antoinette thing that he's got going. He's not on the ballot in next November, but Republicans should be really concerned about what they're seeing. And Republicans are concerned. Some are still upset about the president's unwillingness to negotiate with Democrats during the government shutdown. And as all of this percolates, there is more potentially damaging information from the Epstein files that is coming out regularly. And many Republicans are distancing themselves from the president ahead of the midterms, while others are leaving Congress entirely. Most notably, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Once a stalwart Trump ally, Greene now says she was, quote, naive for believing in the president's promises. Those kinds of schisms seem likely to widen as Trump continues to ignore serious domestic issues and as the midterms draw closer. As The Atlantic puts it, quote, Trump is suddenly looking a lot smaller. Joining me now to discuss all of this is former Ohio Governor John Kasich, a Republican who notably endorsed Joe Biden in the 2020 election. Also with us is Margaret Carlson, editor-at-large with Semaphore. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Governor, let's kick it off. Is the Trump fever in your party finally breaking?
Well, I think that the Trump fever in our country is kind of breaking a little bit. But, what Mark Twain said, reports of my death are greatly exaggerated. And I think some of that is true when it comes to Trump. He still commands a lot in the party. But as time goes on, as the economy doesn't recover, as we see healthcare costs increase, when we see these terrible ICE detained strategy here, where they're like yanking people out of places who are never done anything, commit a crime in the United States. I think there are Republicans who are beginning to say enough. And remember, everybody who runs for re-election, they can't run on Trump. They have to run on the basis of can they win again, and they got to pick their issues. That's why you're seeing some things break here. But we're still a long way off from seeing a complete shattering of MAGA.
All right, Margaret, a mixed diagnosis from the governor, but Democrats are feeling pretty bullish about their chances in 2026. Take a listen to Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi.
So if the Democrats win the House back?
No. When? When the Democrats win the House back, then we will. Right now, the Republicans in the Congress have abolished the Congress. They just do what the president insists that they do. That will be over.
So that ends as soon as you have a Democratic
That ends as
speaker.
soon as we have the gavel.
Not if, when. What's your reaction, Margaret? Is she being too optimistic? Are the Dems spiking the football too early?
We miss her certainty, and we miss Congressman Kasich. There's still a budget waiting to be balanced here, Congressman. If you ever want to come back, there's been Abigail Spanberger, Mikey Sherrill. There was just a mayor elected in Miami, the first Democrat in 28 years. These are all good signs for the midterms. And I think some of the issues that you mentioned, Melissa, are ones that everybody understands, that he treats the White House like he owns it. At the very least, he owns it. Or he bought it to renovate it, and he's making excuses about the West Wing. Well, the law says you need to have permission to build, but it didn't say anything about tearing it down. I mean, these excuses to when you go past it, Melissa, it's just shocking to see. And you brought up the Kennedy Center. He said he was, quote, surprised and honored by having the center named after him. After he filled the board fired everybody, filled the board with his cronies, and then had a vote. And by the way, it took minutes to get those letters up on the Kennedy Center. And so now it's the Trump and Kennedy. It's kind of astonishing. And the Oval Office, of course, looks like he's decorating that like an Atlantic City casino, and then putting his predecessors' pictures on the wall with plaques underneath insulting each of them, except for Ronald Reagan. It's kind of astounding, and I think it does penetrate in a way sometimes that the cost of living index doesn't.
Well, so Governor, the behavior is certainly outrageous, as Margaret has detailed. Are the Republicans going to pay a price for the president's behavior? Are they courting a midterm shellacking like the one the Democrats experienced in 2010?
Yeah, I've been saying for quite a while, not just in the last couple of weeks, and Margaret was saying this as well. I thought the Democrats were going to win the House a long time ago. Now, when you take a look at these two ladies who won the governor's races, they were talking about affordability. They were not on fringe issues. The Democrats have a challenge, and that is to stick on things like health care, like the economy. But don't be getting on these fringe issues. They can talk about ICE and the fact that ICE has been too aggressive. I think that resonates with people. But if they start drifting into the fringe issues, they're going to have a problem. For the Republicans, they're sort of stuck with this MAGA thing. And I've been a Republican all of my life, an American first, a Republican second. But I have to tell you, I don't quite know what it's all about. I don't know what's the positive message there. It seems as though it's a message about tearing things down rather than building things up. And that is never a successful way to get elected, to be just so negative and everything. So I think the Democrats are going to win the House, maybe by a significant margin, but they better be careful because they're very good at snatching victory out of the jaws of defeat. Or maybe I said it the wrong way, but I think
the other way.
What I'm trying to say. Don't screw the thing up if you want to win.
Yeah, the bottom line is pretty straightforward. Margaret, any path to taking back the House runs through ballot boxes in localities, and the Democrats are worried that the president might try to influence voter turnout in the midterms by doing things like sending in the National Guard or ICE agents to poll sites, which would suppress voter turnout, certainly among some communities. Is that a real concern, and how should it be addressed? What should the Democrats be doing?
I mean, of course he'll try to do that. And, if he doesn't get it done ahead of time, he'll do it after, just the way he did in the presidential by charging voter fraud, et cetera, et cetera. He wants to get rid of mail-in ballots. He doesn't want to get rid of them, but he wants not to have them count if they're not in by the second the polls close. He has all kinds of picayune ways he's going after states' rules on elections, which, by the way, those belong to the states, not to him. He will do anything he can to not make every vote count. Democracy, every vote counts. In Trump land, no, only his votes count.
So, Governor, Margaret's made a great point. There are real midterm insecurities in the White House, and they've already prompted the White House to take some extraordinary steps. There is ongoing a major mid-cycle redistricting fight that the Supreme Court has essentially blessed by blessing Texas's redistricted map. And there's real concern that the president might not accept the results of an election that doesn't break his way. Is there anyone around him in this White House who could rein in those impulses and bring some order to all of this?
Well, maybe Susie Wiles. I mean, it was a pretty astounding interview she gave, and the president supported her, which was sort of surprising. Maybe she seems to be someone there that people are inside the White House are intimidated by, and also somebody who seems to have great common sense. So I think at the end, as Margaret was just saying, these elections that are coming up, they're decided state by state. It's a little bit different than when we saw the presidential election.
Accountability matters. Transparency matters. And justice only works when it applies to everyone, not just the powerless. That's why these stories matter. If you believe the public deserves facts instead of spin, and clarity instead of silence, take a moment to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to Behind the Headlines for calm, independent political analysis. I'm Morgan Reed. Thanks for watching.